I'm glad I made Charlie laugh.
I certainly can.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello! Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Louisville's Best Podcast, the podcast where we are the best of Louisville, and I'm not sure that's saying much. But after all, folks, we have one more Halloween episode that we had to get in. And tonight we are going to talk about not haunted houses in that we're going to run around and get grabbed and be chased by chainsaws. No.
Get grabbed. That's like going into the big lots down here.
Hey, it's Dixie Highway, baby.
You don't have to have a haunted house get grabbed.
We're going to be talking about the legit
Brian's
original OG haunted houses.
Brian's talking about something you don't have to pay for here.
Oh, apparently there's a thing now where you either carry a glow stick if you don't want to be touched or grabbed. And if you're like, hey, it's free game, then you just toss the glow stick away.
There's a lady that works at school with us, and she's our registrar. And she is the most matter-of-fact person I've ever met in my life. She's awesome.
She's a registrar?
She's the registrar.
She's not the registrar, but she's the registrar?
Registrar. That's what it's called. That's just that's a school thing. It's academic thing.
Don't you know that you are a registrar?
Oh, my gosh. You just gave me an idea for Christmas this year.
Oh, my.
Anyway, she came up and she said... And I won't do her voice because she's got a real unique voice.
Hey God, how you doing?
It's real unique. But anyway, she's like, we all went to Kings Island last weekend, and we had to pay to get in, of course. Well, they're doing their Fright Fest or whatever they call it up there. She said, did you know that you have to pay an extra $13 for a glow stick so they won't scare you? It's a necklace you have to put on.
See?
She said, I wasn't going to pay $13 for an extra one. So anytime that I saw somebody getting near me, I'd just run up behind somebody who had a necklace on. So she spent her whole evening, I guess, running around chasing people she didn't know because they had necklaces.
Beat the system, man.
I did hear on the radio that our Kentucky Kingdom Hallowfest was actually voted by USA Today as one of the best Halloween events to go to.
Really?
$29.95, I believe. But if you buy a season pass for next year, Charlie, you get it free. Let me just tell you.
Well, I would get no usage out of any of that. So
I'm just saying.
Susie was supposed to go out there this weekend. I think she was supposed to go out there with some buds of hers. Mm-hmm. Maybe her new man in her life. That's
friend.
Her friend beyond friends.
My friend.
Yeah. Mm. Oh my goodness. Me and Luke, we're supposed to go out there. He's going off the dad. You got to go pick him up. At least the kid's like, yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's life with a 15-year-old. So. Anyway, they were supposed to go out there, and then they changed their mind. The friend thing just fell off. It's like, no, we can't go. It's like, are you going out there tomorrow night? And she's like, no, but I'm going to go to the mall instead. And so I was like, oh, okay. The mall.
I did hear Mr. Ed Hart, who was talking about Hello Fest or Hello Scream or whatever it's called out there at Kentucky Kingdom, that they have not one, but two legit haunted houses.
That's what I'm hearing, and I don't think I could handle that.
Supposedly world-class Halloween actors. And I keep using the word legit because I want people to understand it's legit.
Well, because when you think of Kentucky Kingdom...
Is it too legit to quit?
Next year it's going to be version too legit to quit. And then it's going to be like amazing. When the chainsaw guy just keeps running you all the way out onto Phillips Lane down to the McDonald's, and you're like, dude, aren't you supposed to be back at Kentucky Kingdom?
It's like a bunch of zombie MC Hammers in there. That would be
with the fly pants. That'd be awesome.
Doing the too legit to quit.
With like a combination of thriller movements.
Oh man, we should sign up to help them with their creative.
Ed Hart, give me a holler.
We got you.
That idea totally blows.
But actually, tonight, Brian brought up a thing, and we're going to talk about something I am totally into. I mean, this is the Halloween show though, because this will be the last show that we put out before Halloween. The next one will come out to November 1st, so we'll start our Thanksgiving shows, in which we'll be talking about the FDA letting us have 15 pounds of dog poo in our food.
Charlie's out already.
Charlie, out.
Hey, Tim.
Oh, I forgot.
My bad. I'm sorry. I just had to bring that up one more time. Okay. We're ready.
All right, wait. Do we have don't tell me we have a call.
We had another one.
We did.
Yes, several weeks ago we did the episode in which we talked about clowns, the scariest clowns, or what made us scared of clowns. Actually, the show was called "Clowns Are Darn Scary" because we're explicit free, so we don't do a lot of cussing. So it was, clowns are darn scary. Well, last week we had a clown call in, one of our local entertainers, and this week apparently we have another one that called in.
Really?
So I'm gonna crank it up here and let's see what this one has to say.
Hello, Louisville's Best Podcast. I just wanted to call in and voice my opinion on the previous podcast that clowns are scary. See, I myself am a clown. My name is Sniffles. And it breaks my heart to hear that people are afraid of clowns.
This is kind
John,
of creepy.
please give us a chance.
No,
Not all of
Sniffles.
us are bad.
There's no chance.
I can come by and put on a show if you like.
Gosh.
They are all about the shows.
Please, give us a chance. Ta-ta.
Hey, Sniffles, get a tissue. Okay. Getting out. John, have you been to a haunted house in Louisville? And I'm not talking about, again, the grab and chainsaws. I mean, ghosts and spirits.
You're talking about the legit.
Legit.
Well, I live in one.
What?
Well, yeah, well, you know this. I live in one.
I know.
Are you? Oh, that's fake excitement for the
Exactly.
listeners.
Yeah, I'm trying to add a little drama.
Yeah.
To it.
Well, I mean, I can talk about my house real quick.
I'm selling it.
And I'm actually going to be. I've decided I'm gonna write me a book and have it self-published on Amazon.
Really?
Yes, I'm gonna try to start working on it after Christmas. I'm gonna call it "She Meows at Night."
Ooh.
Life living with a ghost cat. That's what I'm gonna name it.
Hey, every now and then, my back of my calf still hurts.
Well, yeah, it's.
I wondered if she went through my leg.
I think she probably just wrapped around it. That's kind of her thing.
That's crazy.
Anyways, let me give you a backstory. We had a cat that we had for 15 years, and she was a decent cat. She was mean. She hated everybody except for me. And Carla, she kind of tolerated, and Susie just by proxy because she happened to be there. She hated Charlie. She absolutely hated him. And I don't think you ever met her, did you? Did you ever meet Katie?
Oh, yes.
Did you ever meet her? I didn't know if you ever met her when she was alive. I know you met her once when she was
yes.
dead.
Yeah.
But so. What happened was she got really old and it started having a lot of difficulties, but we decided we were just going to let her kind of live out her life because she wasn't seeming to be in any pain or anything. She's just getting kind of old. Mm-hmm. Well, one day she just, as I like to say, she just up and died. I mean, just up and died. I'll spare you the gory details of how. I think my wife accidentally
Something with KFC?
Yeah, accidentally killed her. But that's beyond the point. So it was probably about a week after that we started having some really weird stuff happen. Started one day hearing a cat like scratching in her sandbox, which was back in the back storage room or in the washroom, but the box wasn't there. So, it was like, okay, we can kind of dismiss that. It's something you always hear. Well, it wasn't too long after that we heard the window shade rattling around in that same room. Ooh. Once again, you're just kind of thinking, nah, no big deal, kind of dismissing it. It was like, well, it's Katie, ha ha ha. It was probably just a couple months after that we were standing. I was standing in the living room, and Carl was sitting there on the couch, and we heard. And you live with a cat, and if you're downstairs,
Yes.
there's a distinct sound. It's a lot different than a dog running because they got that. Boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
And it was in the upstairs, and it came to the top of the stairs and ran down the stairs, came around the corner, and ran right between me and her, and on down the hall. And she's like, my wife, I thought I was just, I didn't know what to think. And she said, did you hear that? I was like, yeah, I heard it. She's like, it sounded just like a cat, right? I was like, yeah, I know it sounded just like a cat. And I don't want to, I'll spare because we're only a 30-minute podcast, so I won't go through all the details of everything we've seen and heard, but every couple months something will happen or something will, I'm the only one that's ever really saw her or seen her around, and it's only been in flashes. It's not like she's just ever been sitting at the top of the stairs staring at me. So one night I saw her going underneath the kitchen or under the kitchen table. Another night I saw her going under the bed, but it's always just the back of her leg. You actually felt her one night rub against you.
I did. We were down there in the basement, and I believe we were playing our one of our either college basketball or college football game. And I can remember sitting there and trying to, because you had that chair, and I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I was like, "Ow, man!" What? And I looked down, thinking one of the kids were trying to sneak in on us or something like that, and looked down, and I was like, "Did y'all get a new cat or something?" Or John was like, "No." He goes, "You felt her, didn't you?" And I said, "I got to tell you, I just felt it on the back of my calf like a headbutt."
Yeah,
like she was kind of, like, "Hey, Brian,"
Well, and that was her MO. She wouldn't rub you like a cat does. She'd come up and bash you with her head.
Yes.
And so every once in a while we've heard something or seen something, on and off. Carla didn't see her, but saw her moving through Susie saw her one time moving through the washing in her shower, between the shower curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Saw her moving through there. Carla's felt her several times. Last week, 2 weeks ago, of course, we're starting to get into that time of year. I was sitting there on the couch, and Murphy, he's 5 years old now, but he was our new cat, as we call him, was sitting up on the back of the couch, and Carla was in the back of the house, and I heard a cat meow from upstairs, like that. And I sat there a second, and I looked around and said, "Carla, did you just make some kind of noise?" She's like, "No." I said, "Well, I just heard a cat meow from upstairs, and Murphy's sitting in here." And first kind of dismissed it. Well, then he jumps down off the couch and walks around there and looks around the side of the stairwell. Then all of a sudden, he just takes off like a shot.
He's like,
and goes and hides behind a blanket.
I would have done ghost cat.
And so that was kind of funny. And that was last week. Well, Monday, I was downstairs in the basement. Carla was in the kitchen. And she came down over the kitchen stairs, or down to the basement door. She opens up and she said, "John, come here." And I said, "What?" Upstairs. She said, I just heard her. It's like, "Where?" She's like, "Well," she said, Susie was in the bathroom, and Carla was in there, and Murphy was in there in the living room, laying on the couch, which is his thing, asleep. And she said, "I heard a cat jump down off of something upstairs, like off the bed onto the floor, makes that boom, boom noise, and then kind of a boom, 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 boom." And so, yeah, she's active sometimes. Sometimes she's not. Sometimes you don't hear it. But it's never been anything scary. It's not like when you come over, you're like worried you're going to see, no, it's always been very, it's almost, it's a very, I don't want to say it's like, it's comforting to know she's still here thing, because it ain't really one of them type things. But at the same time, it's something that's like, okay, yeah, that's
it's almost like
cool.
She's still playful.
Yeah, it's never been anything that I would consider to be mean or it's a demon. I don't think it's anything like that. It's because I don't kind of buy into that. But yeah, that's where she's at. So, anyways, we can go back around. I don't want to take all the time on me doing it. So,
well, one of the haunted places of Louisville that I wanted to talk about was the Brown Hotel.
Oh yes.
And so I had never been into the Brown Hotel until Derby time one year. And I had to go down, this was when I worked at Churchill, and I had to go down and pick up a guest, and they were not ready. But at the time, believe it or not, folks, text messaging really wasn't a thing yet. So I had to park the car and come in, and when I go in, I'm waiting, and there's a bunch, of course, it's Derby time, so it's very busy, a lot of staff. And there was a gentleman there, and just kind of said, "Hey, can I help you? I'm here to talk with somebody, I'm here to pick up somebody." "Okay, great, we'll be right with you." And then he just kind of walked off, and then here comes this little, like a bus boy, comes over and he's like, "Sir, can I help you?" I said, "No, I'm good. I'm already taken care of. I let the hotel manager know." And he's like, "The hotel manager is her over there behind the counter." And I said, it's older gentleman, kind of, described to him, and he's like, "No, nobody works here by that name." He goes, "You must have ran into Mr. Brown." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Who's Mr. Brown?" Like, the guy that owns this place. He's like, "Yeah, he's been dead, several years, but he's been known to make an appearance." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What's this clown?" Right? Like,
Come on, clown.
And he's like, "No." But apparently what it is at the Brown Hotel is that Mr. Brown has been known to make appearances. And like when he sees people who are his whole thing was about providing excellent customer service. And so his thing is, like, the people who work there have said that if they do a good job, then it's been known that they will run into Mr. Brown and he will give them the nod of approval that they did what they're supposed to do. And the way that you know it's Mr. Brown is that when this ghost goes by, is that the odor that is left is the odor of his favorite cigar. And so it was just kind of like, interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Story. So, but yeah, the Brown Hotel was one of those like. So after that, I was just kind of like very jumpy anywhere. I thought it was going to make a hand grab me, pull me into a wall or something.
Well,
but.
I mean, I know that in the past, I think it is the Brown Hotel that when teams would come in to play U of L, they started requesting not to be put in the Brown Hotel because they said that there were kids. Said that half the team was terrified all night because there was kids running up and down the hallway that weren't there.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to be put in the Brown.
Yeah.
So they started, I think, having to put them somewhere else because teams actually literally who was it? It was one of the football teams came in one time. A couple of years ago, and they were like, the coach was like, no.
St. Louis Scary Cats.
It was somebody. It was like, you got all these 350-pound linebackers, and they will not stay in the place.
They're like, I'll rip that door open looking for them kids. There ain't no kids out there. What?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've heard that before, but that's cool. I've never knew if anybody had actually
had an experience. You know how that goes. It's one of those things. It was probably just some older gentleman from Atlanta, Georgia, walking through, like, hey, buddy, you need some help, that type of thing. But
at the same time, it's still cool to have a story.
Yeah. Charlie?
I work in a haunted place.
Ooh.
The hospital I work in is haunted. And we've told the stories.
Let me preface this real quick. This is the story that actually started us on the road to podcast.
Oh, I'm not going to tell it again.
Oh,
we told it every Halloween. And we're going to give it a break.
It's tradition, like going to the zoo and trick or treating.
Please.
Yes.
Please, Charlie.
$29 from each of you guys. And I will, with your zoo membership.
Well, hang on.
But I will tell a different one.
I've got $2.99.
Got a different one. Yes.
I have a different one.
Okay.
I'm hyped.
This is from a person we went to school with. I won't say his name because he has a real, actual job now.
I just got cold chills, by the way.
I know.
And,
that this kid got a job.
We're amazed. It's kind of amazed at that.
Yeah.
Somebody we grew up with actually got a real job.
Yes.
Amazing.
Maybe later.
We started all at the same time. Went to school together, all this stuff. And he called me up one day. It's like, hey, you want to go to job fair? And I hated my job so much. I was like, yes.
Which job was that?
Circuit City.
Oh, yeah. We all hated that job.
Circuit City warehouse.
Distribution, baby.
I hated it so much. I think I even called in sick that day. I had to have called in sick that day.
They were making y'all work like 90 hours a week.
Oh, my gosh. We never stopped working.
Yeah, but it was like, I called in sick.
And yet your checks never got any bigger.
I can still remember the signs on the doors every Friday. Mandatory overtime, 6 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Then you get there and push a stupid broom for 8 hours of it. It was just
That's another reason we went out of business. But anyway, so I go to the job fair, and they were, everybody else there had like degrees and had worked with people with special needs and all this stuff before, and I had no, and I'm like laughing. I'm like, I have zero experience. I just really dislike my job. But here's my job history. This is what I've, worked. Don't miss a lot of time. Blah blah. Even though I did miss a lot of time, but I hated that job. And so the next day they called me. Like as we're driving back from the job fair, the guy's like, "How'd your interview go?" I was like, "Pretty much." At one point, they wanted to ask me if I just came just for the free soda and cookies. So I'm just sitting there munching away on cookies, drinking soda, and they're asking these questions. And I guess my aloofness really made them want me because the next day.
You met with the Bobs.
Yeah. I was a straight shooter with upper management potential written all over him. Yeah. But they got from the job the next day. Well, he had told the story to me that so on one of the floors.
Okay, so hold on. In the guy in you're talking to the guy about the job. He's like, "Hey, this place is haunted."
No. The guy that we know.
The friend.
I thought he meant the manager sitting there. He's like, "Charles, we really like everything we see here on the application. Did you know this place was haunted?"
Can you handle ghosts?
That's what I thought you meant. I thought, man, that would have been awesome.
Who are you going to call, right? Like,
just one question: are you afraid of no ghosts? Well, that's a double negative, sir. I am not afraid of any ghosts.
You're hired.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Because I'm an apparition.
Yeah,
he was Mr. Brown. He gets around.
Nobody works here. Like, yeah, they're in the
what?
They're in the reflection of the fountain room. Anyway, so
your friend was saying like, hey,
one of the floors had four. Well, it still does, but it used to be a floor where the young men from the JCYC would go. So it was like a prison unit almost. And on the very back of the hallway, there was 5 seclusion rooms, and it went like it was in a row. There was like one here, then a little bit of a hall space, just like maybe like 4 feet. Then there was 4 rooms that went this way. And, yeah, 4 rooms. So it's 5 altogether. So 4 rooms went this way. And they had a kid in seclusion. He had been aggressive, and he was in restraints and seclusion. And now if someone's in seclusion restraints, we have to stay in arm's length of them the whole time because they theoretically can hurt themselves on the restraints if they're, that dedicated to hurting themselves, unfortunately. But back then, you can just lock them in and let them go. But they had cameras in the nurse's station, so someone's supposed to watch it. And the kid was screaming, and they all, it often happens. Of course, they're in a weird situation, an uncomfortable situation. But so the person that was watching the cameras was looking and said that there was a light. And he just thought it was, just something on the camera. It was not, it was the old black and white camera and everything. So there was a light in the room. The kid's like, there's something in here with me, freaking out and whatever. It's no big deal. He's just trying to get out of restraints. And we understand, but still, he's in there for a reason. So that the light disappeared. And I looked in the next camera, and it was in that room. So the kid was in the second. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kid was in 3. Light goes to 4. Goes to 5. Disappears. Goes to 1. Goes to 2, goes back to 3, and then starts moving around the bed. So that was a sort of
that's a seriously cool story.
Yeah,
Too many cold chills right now.
There's there is allegedly, and I've not seen it, but and like I said, I've told my ghost story dozens of times on the podcast.
It's one of the best.
Hand of death, just get ready to just touch you.
If I turn around, I'll just die. But apparently there is a ghost nun up there.
Oh.
I've not seen them. Some of the older people, I guess maybe she retired. Or it could have actually been one of the nuns that worked with us that literally did have to retire. She was old. We have lots of nuns that still hang out there and do stuff like do our clothes closet and do like the morning prayer. I'm not making fun of, I am making fun of old people, but every morning the intercom, this is not a ghost, it's just a funny story. Every morning at like 8:30. Good morning. Time for the morning prayer. and then it sounds like she's 10 feet away from the microphone and she's doing the prayer. And it's often this too. Amen. She was in a coughing fit one morning and the patient was like, can you go check on her? Yeah. Like,
she needs more help than I do.
It happens every morning, guys. It's totally cool. Yeah.
So, with us giving our favorite or our haunted places of Louisville, where would you love to go visit? What haunted location would you love to go visit? I have an idea of where I think John would want to go. I'll give mine. I don't think it's the same. I would love to go on a New Orleans ghost hunt, ghost tour. But John, where would you like to go?
I am totally into the paranormal. I mean, I had a Waverly Hills experience up there.
Something your dad had checked the building code violation.
Yeah, I had that happen, but I actually had a real experience happen up there one time when we were there, and I've told it several times on the podcast too as well. So it's old, kind of old hat. I think if I got to go anywhere, because my brother-in-law and sister went up there last year and actually had a kind of a paranormal experience there, is I would love to go on a ghost tour of Gettysburg.
It was right.
I mean, that would be like a bucket list haunted place to go.
I was right.
I'm not into some people are like, oh man, I would love to go to Mexico and go to the island of the lost dolls. All these like places where it's like demonic type stuff. Yeah. I'm not into that. I do not want something to actually come up and fist punch me in the throat or anything like that. But
what?
I love how Charlie's wheels are turning right now, folks.
So do you call a kick a foot punch?
Well, anything like that.
Or if someone throws an elbow, it's an elbow punch?
Well, whatever. I'm okay. Not bad. I'm not up in the MMA.
He forehead punched me. It's with his forehead.
It's all the same to me. Anyway, so, yeah, they went up there last year.
Excuse me, I know sneezed.
And they were in one of the houses there that was supposed to reputedly haunted. Uh-huh. And they tell the story. I mean, literally told the story that they were in the basement and said Mike was standing there and said he got this really kind of sick, kind of woozy feeling. And said he turned around and looked, and as he turned around, said there was a doorway there. and said right at the edge of the doorway, like moving past it, he caught like the back leg of somebody in a long blue dress.
Oh, wow.
Walking past that door. And they were talking. It's like, yeah, they were out there. They went to Gettysburg. And we went up. We're on the battlefield and stuff. He said, yeah, there's this one time, you'd probably love it, because there was this one place where there's this little ridge, and we looked out there on the ridge, and there was like 10 or 15 soldiers just standing there.
What?
And I was like, he was like, there was some kind of reenactment they were doing or something. I was like, really? You think they were doing like 15 soldiers standing out there doing a reenactment? He's like, yeah, I mean, that's probably what it was. But there's always type of reports from there of people seeing, maybe sometimes, people are talking, yeah, this during the day even, see a whole regiment of troops moving across the field or something. And I don't see why a place where there is so much death and so much, you're talking about agony, to where some type of residual, I know what my Christian faith tells me, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, I don't think we know everything there is to know about energy.
Actually, the Bible does not specifically say that there are no such things as apparitions. It does mention that someone's cognitive spirit can be brought back by through witchcraft, but it does not mention that the entirety of the person's energy has left this mortal coil.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is if you believe in
it doesn't definitively say yes or no. It says that our spirits go to either up or down. That's the biblical terms, but it doesn't say that there is not some sort of other type of energy that remains. The Bible is very specific about spirit over and over and over, but it's not specific what that spirit initially is. The Holy Spirit, yes, but it talks about spirit and essence and things like that. So I don't think that it's beyond, of course, if you are a Christian and you are Bible believing, there's a lot more hard to believe things that maybe part of your essence as a human being or your spirit stays on the planet.
Well,
if you can believe that a guy can build a boat big enough to put every animal on, or that Christ can raise someone from the dead, raise himself from the dead. That's not beyond the pale of anything. Is really not beyond the pale of reasonable.
and that's what I was going to say is because if you believe, like with us, ghost cat in the house is if energy
it's
can.
My favorite country song. I'm just a ghost cat in this house.
If energy can neither be created nor destroyed, then in a case like that, if energy is part of your life stream, so to speak, then it has to go somewhere.
Yeah. Here's an interesting take. I just came up with it. What if when we're in church and we feel like a calming presence? What if that are the members of the church that have gone on? Maybe their spirits have been allowed to stay back and kind of move throughout.
Well, if you believe in the what the Bible talks about, a cloud of witnesses.
Well, there you go.
Then there would be.
There you go.
Usually we don't get on a religious tangent on here, but
there you have. That's a little bonus content. If you'd like to be a part of our Patreon, please feel free.
And that's my question too. I really wish Tim was here. Would he have been like, no, guys, we can't talk about this, or he would have said something very, very deep and had a really good point, or he would have anyway, poop in the food. Could have gone either way with Tim.
Well, Charlie, where would you like to go?
Nowhere. I'm really not. I don't mind the paranormal, but it's not like, I want to go out of town, spend $300 in a hotel or an Airbnb, and possibly have the pee scared out of me. No, it's not really a thing.
That's your thing?
But also, like I said, I work in a haunted place.
Yeah, that makes a little difference.
Yeah, I get paid to be around haunted stuff.
That's pretty cool, though.
One of the
20 cents an hour. Thank you very much.
Take us out on this night. One of the creepiest haunted things ever happened to me. I've had just a few things in life. It isn't like I'm wrapped in a paranormal. Like some people see a ghost behind every tombstone type thing. But one night, and this is way back in the day when me and my wife were dating, and we had gone to homecoming, or it was ring ceremony. It was during the spring. So they live. Her mom and dad still live out off Cane Run Road. And they're now, it wasn't there then, but Farnsley Middle School is right there beside, right up the road from them. Mm-hmm. So to give you kind of a point of reference on what we're talking about, I was on...
the Farnsley house is out front.
Farnsley house out front. Mm-hmm. Well, right out from the Farnsley house on, what's that, Terry Road. Mm-hmm. Not Terry, what is that? Right there.
Rockford and
Cane Run.
It was Cane Run where you turn where Farnsley Middle School is now.
Lee's Lane.
Yeah, Lee's Lane. So anyways, it's right there. There's a cemetery there on Lee's Lane. It's the old little bitty Farnsley cemetery. Well, it was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had dropped her off and was headed home. And I came down through there, and it was kind of foggy, but not too bad. You could still see. And I was in my mom and dad's car, so I'm kind of chill driving. It's been been the ring ceremony night. It was cool. Everything was awesome. And as I came down through there at that cemetery, I looked and my headlights flashed, and there was a guy standing on the side of the road, looking into the cemetery, like on a trench coat. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a bus stop not too far down the road. I thought, this guy's waiting for the bus. Yeah. So I slowed down as I came near him because you could see him, and he was standing there. And it wasn't like he was like see-through or anything. He was just a dude standing on the side of the road. He was looking into that cemetery. And as he was standing there staring into it, as I went by him, he kind of turned and looked over his shoulder at the car. It was kind of like he was startled him. And I'm watching him because there's a red light there at the end of the road. Yeah, and I'm kind of watching him in my rearview mirror because it was, kind of weird anyway. And as I got past him and I put on my brake, the light lit up behind him. As it did that, he turns around and starts to not run, but kind of quickly walk across Lee's Lane. And when he gets to about the yellow line, he just goes and just kind of
gone,
disappears. It was the weirdest thing I have ever experienced like that. I mean, it was just, he's gone. I mean, it wasn't like smoke or anything. Just
gone.
Like he just gone. Like he just stepped through a door. And it was weird. I mean, it was one of those. I was like,
I'm out of here. Forget the red lights.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things ever.
Like people run those lights on Dixie.
Oh yeah. Well, happy Halloween, everybody. We're glad that hope you're having a good Halloween season. This is the last show we'll have before then, and so that's my experience. That was the experience I had.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, folks, for listening to us. Charlie, where do they find us?
Wherever they find the podcasts. However, the best places to find us are Facebook and the Anchor app. You can leave us a message on Anchor app, either a voice message or on Facebook. Please leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know we need to do better. And but everywhere else you find your podcasts.
We'll catch you on the flip side, players.
And our third favorite place is SoundCloud. We're still there. We're still on.
Sorry, Tim.
That's SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.